Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a fascinating challenge in automation, and that's transforming CAPTCHA AI drop-in scripts from simple testing tools into robust, bulletproof production modules. If you've ever felt that very specific pain of a script that works flawlessly on your laptop, but then just completely crashes and burns the second it hits the real world, well, you're definitely in the right place. Let's get into it. So we really need to start with a crucial question here. Picture this, you add a small script to solve a CAPTCHA, right? It runs, it spits out a token, everything looks totally fantastic. But listen, a script that works just one time in testing can still fail terribly in production. Because production isn't judged by one successful run. It's judged by what happens when your traffic spikes, when queues grow, when tasks inevitably time out, or when batch jobs partially fail. So the real question we should be asking isn't, can this script solve a CAPTCHA? The better, much more important question is, can this script be monitored, retried safely, cost-controlled, and actually owned by the right team? Here's our quick roadmap for today. We're going to cover the core workflow, drop-in solver scripts, transitioning to production, and finally, pricing and scalability. All right, moving right into section 1, the core workflow. Submit, pull, and use. So, every CAPTCHA AI script basically handles this fully automated 3-step dance. First, it submits the task to the API. Second, it polls, just waiting for completion. And third, it returns the token. Now, in a testing environment, this all looks totally fine. But here's the catch. You can't just mark it a success when the script returns a token. A token is really only useful if it's applied correctly and the downstream protected workflow actually accepts it. Just keep that in the back of your mind as we move forward. Okay, section 2, drop-in solver scripts. Tools for every challenge. The great thing here is that you have a targeted script for pretty much any scenario. Whether you're dealing with standard reCAPTCHA v2, modern Cloudflare turnstile, traditional image CAPTCHAs, or maybe you just need a Node.js universal solver, CAPTCHA AI provides all of these as drop-in starting points. And, a prototype script like this is incredibly useful just to prove that your automation can work. I do want to specifically highlight the batch solver script for a moment. Batch solving can obviously massively improve throughput. But listen, more workers do not automatically mean more completed workflows. Without limits, batch scripts can just create massive queue pressure. What's absolutely vital here is that this script already includes built-in error handling for each individual task you throw at it. And why does that matter? Because you must never let batch jobs hide partial failures. A proper batch script should always report per task status. It needs to show exactly which tasks succeeded, which failed, why they failed, and ultimately whether the final workflow accepted the result. Let's move on to section 3, transitioning to production, taking things from testing to your actual code base. This quote right here is essentially the golden rule for going live. A prototype proves a script works, but a production module proves it can fail safely. To get to that point, first off, do not hard-code your API keys. Centralize your configuration and use environment variables. Next, you need to standardize your error handling. Map your errors into clear internal categories. So, for example, a simple timeout isn't getting confused with a bad API key or an unsolvable challenge. And crucially, you've got to add retry budgets and concurrence limits to find your maximum attempts and wait times, because retrying forever isn't reliability, it's just uncontrolled automation. Moving to production essentially means shifting away from standalone testing tools and instead importing these solve functions directly as modules right into your existing codebase. And when you do this, you have to measure final workflow completion. Did the downstream step actually accept the token? You also need to track the right metrics, things like task submission success rate, timeout rates, queue depth, and error categories. Oh, and every script or module needs an actual team responsible for its maintenance. Plus, just a quick reminder, this type of automated workflow should only ever be used in owned, client-authorized, or contractually permitted environments. All right, wrapping up with section 4, pricing and scalability, and how to manage your resources. When it comes to scaling up, cost predictability is absolutely key. $15 a month is the starting basic price for unlimited solves on 5 threads. And this is exactly where those retry budgets and concurrency limits we just talked about become so vital, because they directly tie into managing these threads efficiently without causing crazy cost spikes. Because CAPTCHA AI uses thread-based pricing, your costs stay highly predictable as you scale from the basic tier of 5 threads all the way up to the enterprise tier with 200 threads. But I want to stress this. The most important metric you should be tracking here isn't just cost per solve, and it's certainly not just the number of tokens returned. The ultimate metric is cost per accepted workflow. By managing your concurrency and matching it perfectly to your thread tier, you ensure that you aren't just scaling up your queue pressure without actually scaling your successful business outcomes. Now, to keep a real-time eye on your resources and account health, you can just use the provided check balance script. I highly recommend integrating this right alongside your production modules. It can alert you automatically before a balance issue halts your live workflows because, let's be honest, absolutely nobody wants to wake up to that kind of alert at 2 a.m. So the practical takeaway here is pretty straightforward. CAPTCHA scripts are brilliant starting points for sure. But once a business workflow actually depends on them, they need ownership, they need observability, cost controls, retry guardrails, and workflow-level success metrics to survive the real world. That is how teams successfully move from, hey, the script works, to our workflow is truly reliable. So take a hard look at your current setup today. Are you just celebrating return tokens, or is your entire workflow actually ready for the real world?